Hey yo, what's happening, people? It's your boy Blaze here, back to you with another one here for Venomous Reactions, and today we got ourselves a video here from Chisel Adonis, and the title, that is 100% true. It's called Hulk Hogan's Death Got People Moving Crazy, and as it was reported, Hulk Hogan did pass away due to cardiac arrest, and it brought social media into an uproar, so to speak, and not in a good way, because you had people that paid homage to what he meant to wrestling as a whole, and you had people that was pretty much elated at the fact that he's gone due to the negative stigma that was attached to his name, courtesy of what he said and done. And my thing is this: if you're gonna sit here and rejoice at the fact that someone is gone, it says a whole lot about your character. And you know what, I'm not afraid to say it, and I really don't care. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get hateful comments from this, but I don't care. I'm doing this video. But we're gonna get into this one right here from Chisel Adonis. It should be informative, but also a little bit of humor, just a little bit, but nonetheless, we're getting into it, so let's go. Not that RKO, bro. Ooh, yep, he got clipped with that spear. Jackhammer slam.
Alright, so boom. As we all know, the legendary, immortal, although he's not necessarily immortal anymore since he's since passed away, Hulk Hogan passed away yesterday at...
Not so immortal anymore. Damn it, Chisel. I'm not trying to laugh, but damn, that was a cold shot. But that's Chisel's way of adding a little bit of humor before he gets informative. But don't be triggered. That's just how he is. But damn.
71 years old. And let me first address the elephant in the room. Hulk Hogan had his outstandings. There's no denying that. We heard that secretly recorded tape in 2007 laced with racist remarks.
So it gets to the point where I would put was funny, like his son, or even hanging out, like I'm holding hands together on Twitter, get close to the fight for him, okay? I'm not a double standard kind of guy, I'm a racist to a point. Yeah. You know, from there's that when it comes to nice people, you know, everybody when it comes to nice people, you gotta...
Keep in mind, this is the first time I'm ever even hearing this tape. I've heard stories about it, but to hear it in its full automated glory, so to speak. Well, this glory, if that's even a phrase. Woo! Yeah, I know once that tape came out, oh, he got a whole lot of heat from that one. He got a whole lot of heat from that one, I'm telling you.
Can't say. I don't give a fuck shit. I don't care if fucking football player or basketball player. They have to skate. If we're gonna talk to players, we'll see the rich
that ultimately got released in 2015, that led to his subsequent release from WWE, and then ultimately getting wiped from everything WWE for a temporary period of time. Like I remember on the Hall of Fame, you couldn't find him there. On the WWE Network, if you searched Hulk Hogan, it would say like nothing found, but his segments were still on there. But he essentially got like the Benoit treatment, but that's not obviously the same thing. But you get what it is that I'm saying here, right?
Yeah, we get it, Chisel.
Had his outstanding. But with all that being said, here's something that I just cannot wrap my mind around. Yes, you are entitled to feel however it is that you feel about him. You do not, under any circumstance, have to feel bad about his passing. However, I think it's very, very, very odd that there is a large percentage of the populace who consume, whether it be wrestling or anything in pop culture, who felt the need to go and police how people are supposed to feel about him. You got friends, family, co-workers, fans paying their respects to Hulk Hogan, and in the comment sections, in the tweet threads, whatever the case is, people are attacking them.
Yep. Yeah, when the news broke, I immediately went to Twitter, and it became the most toxic place to be, because there was some people that I found that was paying homage pretty much to what Hulk Hogan meant for wrestling, and then there was a larger amount of people pretty much going ham on those people because they're paying their respects to Hulk Hogan the persona of wrestling. Like, who are you to judge people on how they should pay their respects? I mean, granted the fact that he has said and done some outlandish things, but for you to sit there and act like you're God and you're judging them, that's something I can't rock with. And a lot of y'all need some motherfucking help. I'm sorry, but no.
For paying their respects. That makes absolutely no sense to me. It's one thing to sit over here and celebrate, somebody's passing, which is still insane because we're all going to have to face the music at one point regardless. Right?
Exactly.
So it's still crazy to me that somebody would celebrate somebody's death. But to go along the lines of going and attacking people for paying their respects is crazy to me. Crazy to me.
It's borderline insane, bro.
You can feel how you feel about him. You don't need to say anything, or if you're like, I don't really care too much about his passing, cool. You want to get your jokes off? All right, because let's call it what it is. There was some funny tweets that were shared. People had a tweet of like a video vignette from Hogan falling or whatever the case, like, oh, this is Hogan entering the afterlife, or they have.
Yeah, I saw that quite a bit on Twitter and Instagram, and yeah, they did get their jokes out, but he did bring up a good point. Like, you're entitled to feel how you want to feel, but don't get off telling people how they should feel. Like you're basically robbing them of the choice of feeling what they want to feel. If they want to pay homage to what he meant to wrestling, that's fine. And if you choose not to care about his passing, okay, fine. But don't get off on, pretty much verbally lynching people for them paying their respects. And this is not them paying respects to him as a person, but this is pretty much them paying respects to what he meant and what he did for wrestling. Like, come on now, bro.
Other ones that said, oh, Hogan, they chose to have Hogan cremated because he didn't want to be laying, going into, he refused to be buried or stuff like that. They had jokes for days, hilarious jokes or whatever the case was, right? And that's all well and cool. But there are some folks who literally spent the bulk share of yesterday attacking people for paying their respects. If you happen to be a black wrestler or executive or anything of that nature that shared, your sadness for the passing of Hogan, people was underneath your comment section sharing photos of Samuel L. Jackson's character in Django. I forget the name of the character. I want to say Steven, but I could be wrong.
Oh,
so somebody
Lord.
let me know in the comment section. Fact check me on that. And then they were sharing gifts of like Uncle Ruckus and stuff. I'm like, bro, you mean to tell me that if somebody who's unaware of the tapes, or you're aware of the tapes, you can't take away the feeling that you had got, whether you had been a child or maybe a young adult when Hogan was in his heyday. Because the one thing that I don't quite wrap my mind around, even further, I can't even say the one thing, it's another thing that I can't wrap my mind around is the...
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's numerous things that that boggles the mind, but I'm pretty sure he's gonna get to it though. But yeah, it's a whole lot of that pretty much make me question. Like, I mean, granted the fact I never heard the tapes, I've heard stories about the tape, and I for one, I was like, okay, so he's on this type of timing. Okay, cool. You know what? I can separate the wrestler persona from the person. I mean, the wrestler persona, I can actually respect what he did, but him as a person, yeah, bruh, yeah. But I'm not rocking with you. That's it in the nutshell.
Revisionist history of what people have been tweeting. They're making it seem as if Hogan is not a Mount Rushmore professional wrestler in the industry. Hogan was amongst the biggest stars. WWF ultimately doesn't become WWE, and it doesn't survive without Hulk Hogan. I said this back
pretty much
in January or February when Cena had turned heel. I think it was maybe March 1st, whenever the Elimination Chamber just so happened to be. When Cena turned heel, I went on the record and said this is the greatest heel turn in WWE history. But Hogan's heel turn is the greatest heel turn in the history of professional wrestling.
That is a fact.
And furthermore, you can't make it seem as if Hogan wasn't cool. When Hulkamania was at its heyday, eat your vitamins, say your prayers, albeit the man was, cheating, doing the steroids behind, closed doors. But all that being said, Hogan was still a complete phenomenon. He was the first wrestler to really break into pop culture, the mainstream, and took wrestling to heights that nobody had saw up until that point, until maybe you got Stone Cold. So let's not make it seem as if Hogan wasn't cool. The NWO, although the machismo and the swagger could have came by way of Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, because they were.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, when you think about like the swagger and the charisma of the NWO, it was solely Scott Hall and Kevin Nash. But when they added Hogan to the mix, they became more than just like a group. They became like a wrestling dynasty. If well, I'm gonna go ahead and stick with that. A wrestling dynasty. Like if you think of NWO, you think of Hogan, you think of Nash, you think of Hall, and when they added X-Pac, and at one point Eric Bischoff was a part of NWO, so it grew to like the most enormous villainous group in wrestling history. And honestly, the NWO made like, the bad guys look cool. Like it was cool to be a bad guy, so to speak.
Ultimately cool as well. But let's call a spade a spade. When you were a kid or you were a young adult, depending on how old you were when Hogan was in his heyday, WCW, part of the NWO, you were probably spray painting your championship replica as well, or if you had a toy belt or something like that. Everybody was doing the for life and everything. Let's not make it seem as if Hogan wasn't cool, bro. Like, it's weird how people just want to go and rewrite history just because they don't like somebody. And again, I'm not sitting here defending Hogan. The way I feel about Hogan is the moment that I heard the tape, like, you know what? Man's not a cool person. Okay, cool. You may not be.
Yeah, I feel, honestly, everybody was on that type of timing. Like, once those tapes got out, it was like, bro, okay, we ain't rocking with this one. But in the retrospect, him as a wrestling persona and a wrestling icon, that part of his life you can respect. But all of his past indiscretions that he has done and said, well, that is pretty much it in a nutshell.
A great human being, that doesn't take away from what it was that you done did in the wrestling ring. Because
facts.
Yes, I understand there's a lot of controversy from separating the art from the artist, but again,
I said it.
Let's be transparent. There's probably a number of people who are out there, even some of you who may be watching this video right now, your favorite wrestlers, stars, whatever the case may be in entertainment or anything that you look up to, they got outstandings as well. And you'll turn a blind eye to it because you're, a big fan of them, or you really respect what it is that they do. So you'll accept some from, those who you like, but you'll reject those who you don't like. So there's a lot of, hypocrites amongst us. And okay, cool. I get it.
That is a fact.
But I just don't understand how people are going to sit over here and try to sit on high moral ground and attack people for simply paying their respects. Ric Flair was on TMZ crying
that he was
over the loss of Hulk Hogan. Now, albeit they may not have been great friends, they've had their outstandings as well, but this is still a peer of his.
All facts. Like when you think of Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan, they had their storied history. And granted, the fact that may not have been the greatest of friends, but for them to have that mutual respect for each other, I think that pretty much alleviates or what is it I'm trying to say? I believe that is one thing that matters when it comes to those two. And the fact that he went on there, shed tears because that was a wrestling peer of his. I mean, despite of what he has done outside of wrestling that is deemed implorable. I mean, that was still like someone that he had mutual respect for in the wrestling business. And for people to get on there and pretty much clown him for shedding tears, like, come off it, bro. Come come off your high horse and shut the hell up. And I want to point out one thing that Ric Flair said in that video, like, social media is an evil place to be. And he ain't lying, because social media, they do not care. Like, once they crucify you, you're pretty much established with the negative stigma, and you are forever guilty in the court of social media and social and public opinion, which is crazy.
Flair and Hogan were the biggest things in wrestling in the late 80s, very early 90s. People knew, when you think professional wrestling, it's Hulk Hogan, it's Ric Flair. People was attacking this man for crying. They was laughing at this man for crying. Oh, yo, you should be happy that he's gone. What? Like, I put out a tweet saying I paid good money to see what Iron Sheik would have said, you know, today upon the passing of Hulk Hogan. Because again, like I said earlier, everybody's going to make their jokes. You could have yourself a good laugh, whatever the case is, right? But when you personally make it your mission to go and attack folks for paying their respects and, you know, condolences, it's crazy to me. Like, you have active talent that were putting out tweets. I think Chelsea Green had to go and delete a tweet and explain herself. And you have to give some sort of preamble. Oh, well, although I didn't support what was, you got to walk on eggshells to pay.
Yeah, I've heard about that. I've heard stories about that, and for me, that is just idiotic. It is purely idiotic, and for people to attack like active talent, for them paying their respects for what he meant for the rest of the business, it's beyond insane to me. And it be those type of people that act like, oh, they shit don't stink. Like, seriously, y'all need to take a good hard look in the mirror before you pass judgment on other people, because right now you look like the biggest hypocrites in the world. And yes, I said it, and I don't care.
Respects now, bro. What are we doing? Like, it's getting ridiculous now. People are going so above and beyond to where every single comment section, and you already know, there's people who's probably sending DMs to friends and family of Hulk Hogan, attacking them, or whatever the case is, because there's always going to be a percentage of people who
that
take
wouldn't surprise me at all.
But I find it very odd how comfortable people are operating like this online. So I don't get it, bro. I don't get it. Like, you're not going to sit over here and make it seem as if Hulk Hogan wasn't a star. You're not going to sit over here and make it seem as if Hulk Hogan was never cool. You're not going to sit over here and make it seem as if, you know, Hulk Hogan wasn't who he was in the industry just because you don't like him. And again, if you don't like him, that's warranted. You could feel how you feel about him, but you can't go over there and police, you know, how people are supposed to feel about him. And then lastly, just something that I wanted to throw in there as well. Maybe about 1.5 years ago, 2 years ago, he gave his life to Christ, or whatever the case is. Now, I don't know how much he may have changed his life in the last couple of years or whatever. I would hope that he made peace with those who felt wronged by him. Yes.
I mean, to hear that, like, you know, you may never know, like Chisel said, you never know if he really made peace with that and tried to atone for his sins, so to speak, before he passed. So for him to make that grand gesture, it may project it to the light of, oh, maybe he feels awful about the things that he has said and done. For you to give your life to Christ, like, that's major. That is major. I mean, does it necessarily mean he made peace with it? I mean, some will say yes, and some will say no, and some will be on the fence about it. But for him to take that step, that shows he definitely feels some type of way about the things that he has said and done. So the thing about that is, like, you want to go and attack his family during their time of grieving is beyond sickening to me. And for people that do that, y'all are idiots. Y'all are fucking idiots. And again, I said it, and I don't care.
He could have done a way better job apologizing for what it was that he had stated, because when the tapes went public, he did apologize. But it's one of those situations where the apology doesn't feel as if you're actually genuinely doing it. You're more coming out and saying that you're disgusted by what it was that you did. You're embarrassed by what was stated on the tapes, simply because
you got caught up.
You got caught. Had you never gotten caught, would you ever get in front of it and come clean about the way that you felt and the things that you done said? And there's people who had worked with him who had said, no, he's not this type of person. Maybe it was just an isolated sort of a moment that he done did it, or there was numerous different times behind closed doors that he may have said the N-word or whatever the case is, what have you. All those people who have the personal relationships with him, I'll leave it to them to go and speak their story regarding him. But I can tell you this much, even as somebody who, I was a big fan of Hogan when I was young. As I've become older, and then the tapes come out, whatever the case is, like, all right, yo, I'm cool off on it. I'm not gonna sit over here and celebrate this man passing away, bro. That's just
exactly. Like I'm not gonna celebrate over someone like passing, but in Hulk Hogan's case, I'm not gonna feel sad about it either. But I will pay my respects. You know, even though he was before my time, before I got into wrestling, and the time that he did come back to the WWE, I mean, it was a time I was able to catch him, like, a little bit past this prime, but it was still like wrestling nostalgia to see him in the ring. When he came back during the height of the ruthless aggression era, so to speak. But I will say, like, I'm not gonna sit here and celebrate someone's passing because of the horrific things that they have done and said. That's not me. I mean, at the end of the day, it's another living soul, regardless of if they did good or they did bad. And society is a scary place, man. I'm telling you.
Crazy to me. And then again, folks going and attacking people because they're paying condolences. Like, what are we doing? You have folks who's legitimately right now reaching out. I think it's on Twitter, probably right now, at the taping of this video, right now. There's people who are trying to locate where SmackDown is going to be, and I think it's, Ohio or something, tonight. Somebody, again, you can let me know, because it come off the top of my head. I'm trying to remember where SmackDown is later tonight. But there are people talking about, yo, I'm going to go see if I can make it to the show. Just to boo. Where they're going to go and pay tribute to him. Like, yo, the last time we saw Hogan on WWE television was, what was it, Netflix premiere? He came out there to go promote his American beer, a deal that should have been given to Steve Austin, because obviously that makes sense, but that's not what we're here to talk about, right? He went over there to go
another
promote.
Story, another
he
time.
Went out there with Jimmy Hart, and they got booed out of the stadium. It was deafening boos. But then now he's passed, you about to go and purchase a ticket, not to enjoy the show, solely to go and boo and record yourself booing for attention.
That is beyond crazy. And insanely enough, that is like the last memory of Hulk Hogan. Him coming out to the Netflix premiere of Raw, which was pretty much right up the street for me at pretty much the Intuit Dome Arena in Inglewood. And yeah, when he came out, yeah, they were met with harmonious boos. And it's crazy that is the last living memory of Hulk Hogan, him getting booed out of the Intuit Dome. It's crazy.
You don't think something's wrong psychologically, bro? This shit not weird to you? It's not weird? Like,
it ain't weird to folks out there.
It's bizarre to me, fam. So I'll say this much. To Hulk Hogan, R.I.P., he lived and left a legacy in professional wrestling. You could feel how you feel
that
about him personally, and again, that's warranted. But that does not give you the clearance to not only celebrate somebody's passing, but then to go and attack folks who's paying their condolences. And lastly, I saw folks on Twitter saying this is just a trial run for when Vince passes away. Like, nobody takes shit serious no more. And again, jokes is cool. But when you back to back posts, everything is, you're trying to capitalize off of this. Yeah, that's a little weird, bro. That's a little weird. So to Hulk Hogan,
it's insane, bro.
R.I.P.
Yeah, I saw quite a bit of that on Twitter, and that alone just made me wanted to log off for the rest of the day, because it became too toxic, it became too insane, and pretty much borderline idiotic. Because you got people saying, "Oh, this is pretty much the prelude to when Vince passes away." Like, it leads you to wonder, like, do people really think like this? And unfortunately, what I saw on Twitter during the day they announced Hulk Hogan's passing, yeah, this is how they think. And this is how they think we as a world, we're cooked. We are so cooked. Oh man, but I pretty much feel like Chisel Adonis. Like, you know what? I mean, you may not like the person due to his past indiscretions, but you can't ignore the fact, though. You can't ignore the mark he made and left in the world of professional wrestling. And for that, if people to pretty much go and attack people and pretty much bug and antagonize their family where they're grieving, it just makes me want to be like, you know what, man, let me put on for a NASA rocket and just relocate to another planet, because this planet is forever fucked. But I will say social media has been in an uproar, and I don't see that dying anytime soon. And it's gonna make me wonder, like, do I even want to be on Twitter? Do I even want to be on Instagram? Do I even want to be on social media as a whole? It's just things I think about. But I will say thank you to Hulk Hogan for what he did for wrestling and the mark he left on the professional wrestling world, and I'll leave it at that. But I want to know, was Chisel Adonis spot on in this video? Let me know down in the comment section down below, and as always, thank y'all for tuning in. Hopefully y'all enjoyed this one, and don't forget to tell your peoples across the globe to kick it with your boys this one good solid time, and please do follow your boy on social media right over yonder. And this is your boy Blaze saying Chuck the Deuce, and I will see y'all in the next video, and I am out.